Hello, and welcome back to the Awakening Philosophy podcast channel. How are you going? We are jumping back into the Philosophical Midwifery book at chapter 6. Chapter 6, the contents and elements of the Pathologos. We took a break. We read the first 5 chapters, and then we took a break to read the masterpiece together, Socrates and Jesus, A Dialogue in Heaven. If you haven't read that or followed along with the series, you can find the videos of us reading that together on YouTube. I'd suggest you read it. It's perhaps one of the greatest books ever written. It is definitely a masterpiece. And then we took that masterpiece of philosophy and we went one step backwards and read a book that's a fantastic introduction to what philosophy is. A book that introduces the significance of understanding, but also understanding specifically what understanding is, or what true philosophy is. The book is called Is It All Relative? Same author, Dr. Pierre Grimes. And it's a modern dialogue set not in heaven, but in a Greek restaurant corner cafe, where they discuss the belief of our age, like one of the most common things that we hear in our current society, that everything is relative. You have a different perspective than me, so there's no real truth. It's just a matter of perspective. You have different beliefs than me, or I have different beliefs than you. Then truth is just a matter of belief, or perspective, or opinion. In other words, there's no truth. And if there's no truth, there's no understanding, because you can just have your own beliefs. You don't have to understand truth. And therefore, not only is truth and understanding a matter of opinion, but the things related to those things, like expertise, qualification for rulership. Politicians can have no understanding at all, or no knowledge at all, and not even seek to help people, because their beliefs say that a ruler can exploit people or murder people for fun and profit. In other words, to say belief has any reference to knowledge, expertise, and how does that play out in our soul, but also in our world and in our relationships. If everything is is relative, not only is there no such thing as philosophy, there's no reason to learn to actually understand truth and integrate that understanding into your way of being, both here and beyond this lifetime. But expertise is a matter of opinion. Hey, if it's your belief you can fly a plane, then that's just as true as someone with a qualification. If it's your belief that you should rule society, then that's your belief. If it's your belief that you know what the divine wants, then you can rule a religion. If you are born into wealth and it's your belief that, people should be exploited and wealth inequality shouldn't be allowed, then it's your belief and you have all the money, so you get to do that in our current society, because we haven't read this book in a nutshell, or we haven't done what this book has set us out to do. Understand the difference between belief and understanding and the implications of both. If everything is relative, what happens to society? What happens to relationships? And ultimately, what happens to your soul? What happens if your idea of self and reality is just a belief? Does the same tyranny, death and destruction, problems and sadism that we see playing out in belief-based groups ruling society, conservatism, spirituality, religion, the economic system, capitalism, would that also play out within your soul if you haven't done the work to purify your false beliefs about self and reality that rule your soul, that you see through, that you think through, that you act through, that your choice of goals are based on? And go through the work of developing the other cognitive function, understanding, and making sure you are ruled by understanding. Now, that's a bit of a summary. Don't believe any of those conclusions, of course. The idea is for you to see it for yourself. Not just see it for yourself, but go through the activities that we've been learning, analogy and dialectic, of understanding, to understand it for yourself. And that's why we have this series. And you can go to the YouTube and you can find that series. And then you can watch for free. Of course, you can donate to the channel if you want to. But yeah, the point of the series is so that we can go through the process together, read together, develop understanding together, and benefit ourselves and our functioning towards others as best we can. So, Socrates and Jesus, a dialogue in heaven, and amazing, and a fantastic introduction to philosophy. Is it all relative? And especially important in our current age because we often hear that. It's the only thing that really justifies fascism, tyranny, exploitation, sadism, that everything is relative, so my beliefs qualify me to rule you. And of course, there are 4 sections in Is It All Relative, 3 sections of the dialogue in the cafe, and 1 extra section where we learn about analogy. And we uncover what analogy teaches us about rulership, mastership, and excellence. We also discover that philosophy isn't the regular kind of understanding things in the physical world. It's understanding using what is inherent in thought itself. Meaning we don't have to appeal to beliefs. You don't have to, if somebody says, if you say, oh, this is how we should run society or organized spirituality, someone might say, point to a physical example of that. Where has it ever happened that socialism has helped, or communism has helped, or any rational system has helped? Point to it. And if you find that many capitalist sadists have bombed to death those people, so it hasn't worked. We don't have to do that. We don't have to point to physical examples or authority figures or ancient texts or anything like that. If we recognize that true understanding, philodianoia, true philosophy, thinks or reasons according to what is inherent in thought itself, which is fantastic. Which means that what we are learning in true philosophy, philodianoia, will be true now, tomorrow, would have been true 2,500 years ago in Socrates' time, will be true 2,500 years in the future, will be true in any galaxy, any multiverse, any time and any space. Fundamental eternal truths that we can reason through. So very, very, very different from, or the opposite from, belief. So, leading us to a conclusion, it may be our purpose, or ultimate purpose for all human beings. Destiny is the name for that. The destiny of man, or our purpose or meaning of life, is to purify that negative cognitive function that rules our soul, causing our problems at every stage, individually, in our relationships, in our society, in our community, in our institutions, and in our species, and maybe even in our cosmos. To purify belief, and at the same time, perfect understanding. Can't do one without the other. Because as we perfect our understanding, one of the functionings of belief is to oppose understanding. Therefore, with every step in understanding or further insight gained through understanding, we face a counterattack. Belief functions to counterattack your success. But we can use, So we have to understand or learn a skill that allows us to recognize those counterattacks and learn what they are teaching us, so we can free ourselves from their restrictions, from the limitations that it imposes. That's this book. But what's interesting is they're reflections of each other. They are they are analogies. As truth is to understanding, so too false is to belief. Which means if we gain an insight or understanding in either one of those, we can ask the question, what's the equivalent? For example, if the activity of understanding is the dialectic that we discover in reading those books and apply to read those books without interpretation, what's the equivalent? What's the equivalent dialectic used to not perfect understanding but purify our false beliefs? Well, that's what we're learning here today. That's philosophical midwifery. Formerly, the dialectic applied to surfacing, understanding, removing, freeing ourselves from the root cause of all human problems, the pathologos. That's called philosophical midwifery. And if you see on our new intro screen, philosophical midwifery, a new paradigm for understanding human problems, is the name of this park. One day there will be parks named after this book. I think. I suspect. And now we have one on our intro screen. So equally so, what's the inherent rationality, structure, path we can walk down to reach our ultimate goal that allows us to perfect understanding and perfect ourselves through understanding? The name for that is the Logos. So we can ask the question, what's the equivalent? What's the analogical equivalent in the other human activity? The two human activities we're here to do, perfect understanding and purify belief, fundamentally. The Pathologos. So as the Logos is to its activity the dialectic, so too the Pathologos is to its activity philosophical midwifery. So that brings us to where we are now. We will continue to read this book and understand philosophical midwifery and the Pathologos, but we can also carry questions from the previous books we've been reading. What would it be like to be ruled? So everything we've been learning about mastership in the previous book. How can we recognize the stages of development? We learned from the Jesus and Socrates book, the stages of development, or the ox herding pictures that we explored in that series. How does that relate to the Pathologos? How does analogy relate to the Pathologos? We saw the beauty of the mean analogy as our intended function. As Socrates taught Pierre, so too Pierre teaches us. There's our mean analogy. As A is to B, so B is to C. Can we see an analogy inherent in our problems? So we can carry all the questions that we've been gathering from our previous text along with us as we continue to read this one. So that's where we are. So let's jump in. Here is the book. Let's do some reading. The contents and elements of the Pathologos. Right? One of the most important things we are here to master, that all human beings are here to master, we must necessarily master because it's the root cause of all human problems. Whether or not certain people choose to go on to become midwives, someone could make the argument, well, sure, everyone has to understand the Pathologos because everyone has problems, and if it's the cause of all human injustice, eventually, we have to teach this in school. But not everyone may want to become professional or masters of midwifery to facilitate the learning and the freeing of our Pathologos. Maybe. Or maybe we're all supposed to become masters of that as well. It's a question. But nevertheless, we're all here to learn about our Pathologos because, well, if you don't, then you still suffer your problems. And we all have problems. We all want to remove them. So, yeah, it's worth doing. It's necessarily worth doing. Okay, let's go. The contents and elements of the Pathologos. We can see from these talks. Okay, so chapter 5 was a review of 2 talks. There was the talk with the ship captain about an early stage of his development, with his dad talking about a mower. And there was another one. So the other one, the background of subject A in the first review of a midwife talk. A single 25-year-old graduate student in political science. She had been exploring her books for approximately 2 years before the talk was recorded, and she had no psychotherapeutic experience prior to beginning sessions in midwifery. Her father was a college graduate and had been a flight instructor in the service. Her mother and sister were housewives and businesswomen. And her brother was a graduate student. Okay, so what was the talk about? Oh, right. It was her exploring why she has difficulty learning and how it plays in with how she was treated by her parents when she had difficulty learning, and whether or not it was a waste to read with precision and gain clarity. She would get through it and study it afterwards. And she would beat herself up for not doing it before. I should have studied it before. And saying to herself, I'm not going to understand it. And she saw how her parents, her mother said, well, I wasn't very good at word problems. I'm not great at that either. And so she concluded, well, why should I work it out? So just get through it and not to reflect on it. Her father would only teach her when she became in a discouraged state. So not only the functioning that she learned and got support, encourage, nurture, affirmation from her parents when she was functioning in a negative way, struggling with her work, not because she was not capable, but because there was the internal voice of the Pathologos, what Socrates might call the kaka daemon, the bad daemon. That internal voice that was telling her, just get through it, read it later, you're not good at this, reflecting her mum's voice. But also the state of mind. So not only the functioning, but also the state of mind. When she was in a discouraged state, thinking she couldn't do it, her parents were not interested in helping her. So we can see that what we're looking for to understand and solve our problems is working backwards through the dialectic. What's your goal? Goal, conclusion. So the conclusion of the dialectic. What's your goal? Are you successful or not? Okay, so look for when you are failing to reach your goal, which is why we read those other books. The understanding. We're seeking to master the books that we read on this channel to learn understanding so that we can understand ourselves and reality. So the goal. Then you can work back. Conclusion, division. What's your functioning? The stages of functioning. Division is all about stages. The stages of functioning that you go through that lead to this repeating failure. This repeating negative conclusion. Okay, and you can trace that. And of course, in the dialogue, we saw how certain behaviors were encouraged and supported by the family clan growing up. Prior to that, state of mind. What state of mind was she in? Despondent, discouraged, fantasizing about slipping into fantasies about blaming herself and getting blamed for not understanding earlier. And of course, we want to go one step further as a result of philosophical midwifery to find the cause even of that. So this is a causal chain. Your goal is caused by your functioning, is caused by your state of mind, is caused by definition. Definition, demonstration, division, conclusion. So we're working backwards. What's before demonstration? What's before the state of mind? The definition of the self. The pathologos belief about self and reality that's we don't suspect we have, but we function through, or we allow to have mastery or rulership over our soul and life. And of course, the other person we explored was the scene with the ship captain who was told by his dad that he couldn't work on small things like the lawnmower, which wasn't true. His dad was blaming him for his own incompetency. And he had a choice to accept the affection and support and membership within the family clan if he played along with this false belief about himself, giving him a certain state of mind, a certain role, but also certain conclusions, or speak up and say, that's bullshit, you're lying. And of course, what we are learning here is the most artful way. How do we speak up in such a way that demonstrates we are free of this? Not only, hey, that's bullshit, but maybe even throwing out a few questions. By the way, where did you learn this shit? You know you're lying. I know you're lying. Why play this game? And where did you learn it from? Do you ever think that your life shouldn't be about passing on the cycle of ignorance and problems, but you might have those problems too, specifically learn how to think for yourself, logos, and reflect on yourself, ousia, to engage in rational self-reflection to free yourself from those problems, and in that process learn a certain art called midwifery? Now that question you might not be the first question you ask, because that requires a bit of understanding of what we're learning here. That's where we're headed, right? Okay, I will try not to say right, because I don't like when people say something and go right, and they don't offer somebody an opportunity to say, well, no, not right, I don't understand that. It's a pet peeve. I see it online a lot. This thing, right? And then this thing, right? And then this thing. No, not right. You can't say right. I say right. You ask me if it's right. Okay. We see from these talks, those ones we just reflected on, why midwifery claims that our intellectual life functions through a network of independent ideas or thoughts. Let's highlight that. Our intellectual life. Let me just remember what my buttons were. Yes. Network of independent ideas or thoughts. Clearly, when its harmony is disrupted, these ideas include inconsistent and contrary elements. So we have been learning about, so this is the significance of doing both the logos and pathologos. We have been learning in our previous book, Is It All Relative? And our study on analogy, we've been learning about harmony and its relationship to beauty. And we're going to be going on to learn more about beauty in the symposium later on in the series. So we can apply these ideas to our excellence to actually know the self and reality, as we can apply it to understanding our distortion, our false ideas of self and reality. So that's important to recognize. When its harmony is disrupted, these ideas include inconsistent and contrary elements. They are disruptive to the degree they distort meaning. And the confusion and suffering in one's life is the natural consequence. These distorted ideas, the content of the Pathologos, so we're learning more about the content of the Pathologos, superimpose personal interpretations and meanings forming the supporting themes. Now, the last book, Is It All Relative, was all about understanding the difference between seeing and interpretation. Interpretation, the functioning of belief. To add what isn't there or to leave out what is. So, the distorted ideas that disrupt the harmony of your intellectual life distort meaning because, and result in, hey Bumble, welcome, good to see you. So, we have some false ideas and thoughts that we carry that disrupt the harmony of our thinking. They include inconsistent and contrary elements within those thoughts and ideas. They are the cause of our confusion and suffering. And they do that because those distorted ideas, the content of the Pathologos, superimpose or project personal interpretations and meanings forming the supporting themes. So we're on the lookout for the themes of our projections. What kinds of things do I project compared to other people? We will have the Pathologos is universal, but our specific Pathologos is unique. So I might project that all dogs are suspicious about me. You might project that if you try your best, people will laugh at you for not being perfect straight away. We're looking for the supporting themes. So the supporting themes are superimpositions of personal interpretations and meaning, creating two frames of reference and two levels of communication. One, where the meanings may be recognized but not believed to be pertinent to oneself, and two, where the private and personal interpretations of these ideas are accepted as unquestionably true. In other words, as a result of our Pathologos that again we all have, and are the cause of all of everyone's confusion and suffering on every level of life, society, soul, relationships, etc. You recognize the truth, but you don't believe it. That doesn't apply to me. How can you think I'm great? Don't you know I'm shit? Or, that's number one. Meanings are recognized but not believed to be pertinent to oneself. Or, where private and personal interpretations are accepted. So you don't believe the truth, or the false that you are projecting, you believe to be true. You believe that voice. That's bollocks. These personal interpretations are built up from learning experiences drawn together into a system of ideas that functions in a way akin to a vortex. Okay, now we've got a metaphor to help us understand the Pathologos. So built up from learning experience, drawn together into a system of ideas that function akin to a vortex, sweeping everything of significance into the private and narrow language of the family clan belief. This is big. Okay. This book is a fucking masterpiece. It's called the Orange Sutra for a reason. So, I apologize if I highlight almost every sentence because it's just so profound. It's just so good. Sweeping everything of significance that you experience into the private and narrow language of the clan and family belief. Ever noticed that? You're reframing everything within the family clan belief clan. Now, one thing we can look to as another example to help see this or blow it up, make it bigger and more obvious is MAGA. There are lots and lots and lots of comedians on YouTube and Instagram and stuff who talk to MAGA people at MAGA rallies. And you can see that's just the Pathologos. The Republican or right-wing groups are not political parties, they are the Pathologos party. So you can see this functioning in them. You say a word and it gets swept into that vortex, and it's reframed in terms of the language of that clan belief. America #1, kill the brown people, support the police, support ICE. Women are stupid. Women, whatever they say about women. And then the comedian asks them a follow-up question. Oh, can you give any supporting evidence or reasoning at all? And the joke is they can't. And usually it's the opposite. One I saw this morning was somebody wearing a Democrats are stupid and should be killed shirt at a MAGA rally. And the guy says, oh, okay. You believe this? Oh, yes, and it's true. What are the 3 areas of government? And he couldn't answer. There were people around him as part of the clan group saying, well, that's not relevant to politics. And he kind of said, well, yeah, it is. It kind of is. It very much is. But again, so showing that he was stupid. But within the family clan or the MAGA clan belief, that is completely orchestrated to manipulate people to act and vote against their own interests, to allow the most pathologos-ridden, the most ignorant and sadistic people in our society to rule over us. So it's demonstrating the root cause of human horror, human injustice, human vice. But that language that they offer these people is how they interpret everything that's presented to them. So in other words, even that conversation with the comedian, they'll walk away having that experience swept into that vortex of the MAGA family clan belief, or the MAGA, not family clan, the MAGA clan belief. And they'll dismiss it. Or they will reframe it. They will either do step 1, say that meaning from that interaction I can understand, but doesn't apply to me, because they're a woke, or they're a liberal, or they're a Democrat. Again, the language of the evil one in that group. Or they will, well, the people around them, I think more than that guy, I think it was very obvious to him, will do the second thing. They will project something else onto the event. That was just Jesus testing my resolve. That's another thing. Religion is another way of doing that. So dinosaur fossils are not dinosaur fossils. It's Jesus testing how well I'm a believer. Sweeping everything of significance into the narrow, private and narrow language of the clan and family belief. I like that. That's a big one. The dialectic draws these hidden levels of belief into the light of... Oh my God, how beautiful is this sentence? The dialectic draws these hidden levels of belief into the light of reason. Brilliant. That's our job. Everyone, this is our moral imperative to be good for yourself and others. It's the ethical imperative to the larger collective in society. Now, I don't often say that because it kind of makes it feel like this is an obligation, and it is, but that doesn't help. That doesn't help. You can't, or as the Oracle said, let's do some sound drops.
When you're in a state of wanting to improve, you're not going to magically force someone to want to get better. You have to come to that conclusion yourself. You have to want to get better.
You have to want to get better. We can and do make the most compelling arguments as to why this is the purpose of life and necessary for all human beings, but that's not going to help people get into it. It's got to be fun. And they got to choose to get into it. The dialectic draws these hidden levels of belief into the light of reason and traces back through, okay, I don't know what this word means. Ostensible. I have heard that word before. Ostensible. Something that appears or is said to be true but may not actually be true in a real situation. What? Intended for display. Appearance plausible than demonstrate. Appearing true but not true. Appearing or claiming to be one thing when the other thing is true. The ostensible goal was to clean up government corruption, but the real aim was to unseat the government. The real aim was to shut down all of the people challenging Elon Musk's businesses and sell private data to Russian governments. And also defund all government societal services that benefit people. So the ostensible goal of Doge compared to their real goal. So traces back through ostensible problems each of the themes of the Pathologos until the root belief of the Pathologos is disclosed. So we start with the ostensible problem. We start with what appears to be my problem. Remember, you can't get into midwifery, except for dream analysis, of course. Dream analysis is the best way of getting into this. But if you're just looking at a problem, because your dreams will disclose your problems to you and will give you the information you need to reflect upon. But you can't get into midwifery until you recognize you got a problem. If you think you know everything, or as the Oracle just told us,
when you're in a state of wanting to improve, you start perceiving all
you start perceiving all the problems when you want to improve. So you have to have a perception of a problem. But what you think is the problem is not the problem. But it is important to make clear what you think is the problem. Same thing with dream analysis. What you think is the meaning of the dream is different from what it actually turns out to be. But it is super important and helpful to put it into words what you think it means. Because often, the very problem the dream is pointing to is evident in your misinterpretation of the meaning of the dream. Likewise, what you think is your problem may contain or will contain elements of your actual problem to cause the misinterpretation. My problem is that I don't love Jesus enough. My problem is my wife is a bitch. Okay, probably people are not going to say things like that if they are rational enough to be interested in midwifery. Okay, so when we look at the problems that they think they have, they're ostensible problems. Each of the themes of the Pathologos, we trace from that. We trace from that each of the themes of the Pathologos until the root belief of the Pathologos is disclosed. Isn't that fascinating? Which is why it's very important to take notes as you're pursuing your goals, whatever they may be, including reading the text that we are reading together. Take notes of the blocks that come up, the voices, the words, the thoughts, because if states of mind, the fantasies, that distract you from your intended goal. Because once you've had enough, you can start to discern the themes. So, we trace from what we think of our problems, the themes of the Pathologos, until we find the root belief of the Pathologos, revealing the defenses that function to bond the family into a unity, giving its members both role models and a comprehensive system of ideas for relating to their world. So these are the pros, these are the selling points. Hey, accept this crap and you can be bound into a unity. We are all Muslims, we are all Scientologists, we are all whatever. Zionists. We are all Jews. We are all whatever. That bonds us. And we also have Jewish role models. Netanyahu. Of course, these fascists are not actually interested in the beliefs. They're interested in manipulating the beliefs of others. So they claim to be speaking for the Jews, but while they do their genocide. Same thing with Trump. He claims to speak for the Christians, etc., etc. But there are still their Zionist way of being, bonding the family together as they murder children for fun and profit. Giving its members both role models and a comprehensive system of ideas for relating to the world. We are the chosen people. Palestinian children are all evil. And we have a special word, the vortex. We see an innocent child and it gets swept into the vortex. They're not an innocent child, they are Hamas. And we get to murder them. Is the genocide that we're currently living through at the time of recording. So we're understanding it. So, way of relating to the world. But regardless of whether the Pathologos is present, the unity of the family depends upon each of its members participating in a system of ideas. The unity of the family depends on each of the members participating in a system of ideas, regarded as the truth about themselves and the reality they face. So whether or not it's a Pathologos in particular, or Zionism, Judaism, Scientology, MAGA, Christianity, any of these belief-based traditions that may not have a specific Pathologos at its root, the unity of the group depends on it. Depends on its participating in a system of ideas regarded as truth, and the path about themselves and reality. So what we are after is a fundamentally false belief about self and reality, just as when we are learning the Logos in the philosophy dialogues, we are seeking to understand the actual nature of self and reality. And in doing that understanding, facilitate our direct experience of both. Now, you might be clever and say, well, how can you experience the self? Isn't the self doing the experience? That's exactly right. Very clever, you.
Every smoothie has bananas.
Yeah, that's not true.
Yeah.
No, my soundboard is ganging up on me. That's not true about the bananas.
Well, you eat bananas, so you're evil.
Oh my goodness. I'm not evil because of bananas. But we are getting really obsessed about bananas right now.
That's fucking insane, and you sound like a crazy person.
Okay, I'm sorry. Everyone eats bananas. I'll remember. So, the self, yes, the self and reality. So yes, that is a puzzle. How do we know the self if it's not an object of knowledge, but the thing knowing? That which sees. Well, that is a question. And the Logos has to lead us back there. There has to be, hey, even if it isn't a direct experience, it is the cause of all experiences and all reality. In other words, there has to be something inherent within that which has no qualities, the self-Logos, for it to function as its cause. Anyway, something to wonder about. This unity of participating in a system of ideas regarded as truth about self and reality conserves and binds together the members. It also gives them an identity. We are MAGA. Gives them a place. We meet up here and we live here. And a sense of belonging. That's very important. Which means also, as we overcome systems of fascism and tyranny like MAGA, we have to recognize, we have to also offer what the establishment left, the capitalist left, who are also doing tyranny, are not offering. That the Logos does offer. Philodianoia, love of understanding, does offer. This is a way of being. There is a language of the Logos. It happens to be Not just considered true, but it is true. Definitionally, demonstratably, divisionally, and conclusionally, or we can use the dialectic to show that it is true. This community might give you a sense of belonging. Okay. The unity preserves, conserves, and binds together the members, gives them an identity, a place, a sense of belonging, and harmony. When they no longer participate in what binds them together, they face dispersion from that unity and are deprived of their identification. An identification they may have once regarded as essential. Notice. Pick any of those examples. MAGA is the whole identity. They have all the stickers on the truck. They wear the t-shirts. They wear the hat. Judaism is their identity. They wear the curlies. They have the hat. Scientology is the identity of Scientology, etc., etc. Zionism is their identity. And there's that funny meme. No politic. No. Okay. Here is the meme.
Game. I thought in the beginning Israel was better. I thought it was a good game. I thought in the beginning Israel was better, but now Mali is getting is destroying them. I think Israel is not bad. Israel is not bad, but I think Mali is going to destroy them today. No, I'm just talking about football. I'm just talking about football.
Mali the best, no politic here. Okay?
Free Palestine. Free Palestine. Free Palestine. Free Palestine.
Thank you.
So there's the meme. So there, whoops. Very funny, very tragic at the same time. So everything that person is experiencing is channeled into the vortex. The young lad was talking about a soccer game, and he projected all his Zionist Jewish bullshit onto it. Now, of course, you can make the claim that Zionism isn't Judaism, but it is speaking for the Jewish people, and if they do not free themselves from the bind of their specific religion, they do become targets for other fascists. In other words, saying, well, there's some people say, well, religion is good just so long as you're not extreme. And of course, extreme means different to what I think and believe, because Christians vote for Trump. People in Israel support the genocide. So, we can trace it one step further. Beliefs themselves, or the pathologos behind even religion, even political injustice. So, the boy was talking about something about the football match, and he went into his vortex and he reframed it according to the language of his tribe, his religious tribe and his political tribe. And it was to speak down to people, act like a Noah. He didn't know shit about what was happening, but he wanted to act like a Noah. And the model of Noah offered to the Zionists and the Jewish and the Israelis is, we are better, we are the chosen people. By virtue of being in our clan, we get to talk down to you, or murder you, or whatever else, the horrors that they do. So he was chanting, fuck you, or something, because the other guy was chanting free Palestine. They got so angry at the idea of freeing people from genocide. That's the power of the Pathologos. That's the power of belief. People acting in the worst possible ways because they become angry at the basic human decency. In other words, the thing that you can say is the absolute worst thing that anyone should never ever support, genocide, they support. And anyone saying that the worst thing is bad is deserving of our anger and violence. So here we see belief and what we are learning here as the root cause of all human problems, and our ability to see that reflected as above, so below. In politics and religion, of course. So, but notice, they identify with it. It's their team. They don't say, this Jewish belief seems to be true for now, but I will, it's a useful theory. They say, I am Jewish, which is insane. It's insane to say I am something that I carry. As you learn math, you might learn some theories, and then next year you learn that those theories weren't actually the most accurate, and you improve. Like you learn there are 3 states of matter in physics, and then physics second year, you learn there are more states of matter, plasma and such. But no one says, I'm a 3 states of matter-ist, as they do, I am a Jewish, or I'm a Zionist, or I am a MAGA, or I am Christian, or I am Mormon with my magic underpants.
Gooners.
Yes, they have magic underpants. So what is that? They once regarded an identification with the belief that offered a system of ideas that they regard as true about self and reality to give a unity within their clan group. They need this identification. They need this unity. We need these role models. We can quote the ancient texts of the Mormons. Joseph Smith found this stuff under a rock. We can quote him. They think they need it. And of course, often part of the brainwashing is hell awaits those who don't. Literal, like they literally say hell or whatever, or the evil communists or the evil socialists will get you if you're not MAGA. So lots of ways of believing that we think it's essential and worth identifying with. Beliefs, whether true or false, bind the members of the family together into a unity. And our false beliefs are traceable back to more fundamental beliefs, the Pathologos. And their influence on our lives is truly prodigious. Now you may be thinking, what the heck does prodigious mean? And I know. Let me explain it for you. I know what it means.
Come on, baby.
You might be saying, come on, baby, tell me.
I want to peg a woman.
No, you're not saying that. That's terrible.
You probably want to put your grandma in the basement.
No, don't do that either. Don't put your grandma in the basement.
This guy needs a soundboard.
Tell me about it. Prodigious actually means extremely great in size, amount, extent, or degree, often in a way that causes wonder and amazement.
Prodigious. Prodigious.
Thank you. Prodigious. Extremely impressive. So that's what it means.
It's not being crazy. It's called reaching a higher sense of being.
Exactly. That's what I say. So, as we've been doing, fascism, tyranny, genocide, Zionist beliefs, before that Jewish beliefs that are manipulated, before that family, cultural beliefs, and before the false beliefs of the family is the fundamental belief, the Pathologos. Our false beliefs are traceable back to, which shows us something very important. And once again, this book's a fucking masterpiece. Therefore, if all human problems are traceable to a root cause, and their influence on our lives is truly great and impressive and monstrous and tremendous and stupendous and extremely impressive and other extraordinary. if its influence is prodigious, that means, by definition, human problems are solvable. That's key. So, we often talk about examples of belief, which again can be traced back to the particular tyrant's pathologos, being the cause of death and destruction that sweep across our land. Conservatism, to be ruled by belief politically. Religion, having your spirituality not ruled by the logos, true understanding, philodianoia. The new way of being for mankind that can unite and harmonize all life. Capitalism, of course, the same thing. The tyrannical beliefs by those who have claimed and have hoarded all of the wealth and extracted all the resources and money. We can also say the justice system. Any punitive justice, or justice is punishing the wicked, or retributive justice as opposed to restorative, restoring the peace, or compared to retributive, revenge. You did a bad thing, now I'm going to eye for an eye you, so even the balance. So any punitive or retributive justice is essentially by definition unintelligible, unjust. Because this, as we just read, we can see that all human problems are, well, traceable back to a root cause that has an inherent intelligibility we call the pathologos that can be addressed and solved. All problems are solvable, which is why we take notes of the problems that come up, and why we looked at, thumbs up, the other two examples from chapter 5, two people who are facing problems that we can relate to, but seeing, it has a cause. And as far as I'm aware, ain't no legal system currently around that had the facilitated the kind of self-reflection that we saw in chapter 5. That's why we're in the problems we're in. But that's why we read this book. Hooray for us.
Well, we still eat bananas.
Yeah, that's also true. Thank you, Oracle. We do eat bananas.
Do a poggers.
And we can poggers for the bananas.
This guy's off the script and chain and unplugged, dude.
We are off the script and chain, dude. The transmission of the pathologos provides the conditions and is the precursor for certain religious beliefs. Oh, okay. I'm going to, I don't have a zoom. That's one thing I'm going to miss. I'm going to have to fix that. Normally I'd zoom in here and I'd do a little camera mog. Is there a name for this? Other streams say, you pre-watched. But I didn't pre-watched. We were just reasoning for ourselves, and we came to the same conclusion the book came to, and that's a nice feeling. It's kind of like the text, or the logos, the inherent intelligibility of reality that, as we saw in chapter 2, is caring, it's intelligent and caring, is supporting our activity. That's also something we should review every now and again. The opening paragraph of chapter... I remember saying this the first time, and there was some chatter who was very upset that, how can you say such a thing? That this may be one of the greatest paragraphs ever written. So let's review it one more time because it's worth doing. Let me bring up... Chapter 2, the Pathologos. Oh, relevant because we're looking at the aspects of the Pathologos. Let's read this. The opening of chapter 2 and on page 18. It is entirely possible to verify for oneself that we are part of a caring and intelligible universe. Understandable, knowable. The intelligent, yeah. The verification is a kind of proof, since it is a way of understanding that is based upon a realization that our minds constantly communicate with us and for our benefit. Our mind. The communications from the mind are as profound as they are utterly appropriate to our circumstances. For, while the scope of the mind is pervasive, its precision is always directed to what is personally significant. We will demonstrate that our choice of goals, the problems we face, the daydreams or fantasies we have, and the dreams that visit us in our sleep, each and every one of them are like doorways into the richest source of insights into our lives. All our problems are caring and understandable. What we discover through these insights is that the mind itself provides ample evidence for its own goodness and intelligibility. So not only are all problems solvable, all of the things that we experience in our life, our choice of goals, our daydreams and fantasies, the problems that we face, are all messages from a caring and intelligent universe to help us, to benefit us, to allow us to go through this process that we are learning, develop this art, and solve our problems. Not only that, we can experience this directly. It's verifiable. And the reasoning that we follow to get there is from mind itself. In other words, we don't have to look to the physical world and say, well, this culture did midwifery, so it shows. Oh, but there was no culture that did it, so it can't be real. Or where are your authority figures that wrote on an ancient stone and buried it under a cave or something? Under a cave? In a cave. It's reasoning through reasoning itself. Which is interesting. So, we can trace our problems back to the Pathologos. Now, the transmission of the Pathologos provides the preconditions and precursor for religious beliefs. And then I mog, so that's what I said a second ago. And then our soundboard
I
says...
would scoop the moon in a cup for you.
For me, for being so ahead of the game by a sentence.
Boom. I love that.
And Emma loves
On
that.
the real, I say stuff like that because I'm cool.
Thank you.
Come on, baby. Bull testicles. Bull testicles.
Okay, and then she ruins it by talking about bull testicles.
My head is quite large and filled with secrets.
Yes, but there's secrets about bull testicles. Come on, baby.
Come on, baby.
My God. Holy shit. Holy shit. Holy shit. Holy shit.
Okay. Whoops. We missed the end of that one. All right, we'll have to wait for next time. Emma saying holy shit about the bull testicles. Let's keep going. So precursor for the transmission of the Pathologos is the precursor for certain religious beliefs. Or it can also be understood as the denigration of such beliefs into the secular domain where the family problem becomes a family religion or cult. Yep. Some people say, you know what's the cause of all human problems? Religion. Ah, wrong. Beliefs. Because the family problem becomes like a family religion or cult. Right. The Musks. The Trumps. The Netanyahus. The Pathologos functions as and the Stalins, and not Stalin? You get it. The Hitlers. The Pathologos functions as an imperative, much like a commandment. Okay, that's important. It's an imperative. So it's the root motivating principle behind your life. So we talk about the destiny of man, our ultimate purpose for all people, but its opposite, fate. To be bound inevitably to the sorts of problems you will continue to face because there is an imperative behind it. Much like a commandment, pervading all aspects of family life. It's not like the racist family is unracist on Tuesdays. It's not like the Christians go to their Christian picnic on a Friday and don't crap on about how they love Jesus. Pervades all aspects of life. But it is not evangelized beyond the family clan because it presupposes the context of the family. There's the difference. Don't tell this other group. This is what we believe in our family. But don't tell the Joneses. Let's make it yellow. It is something learned and believed, yet the reasons for its adoptions are never openly discussed by its adherents. Now that's important too, because that's what we're doing. Midwifery is to trace it back to this root cause and talk about why it's believed. As the Oracle tells us, this one.
You actually have to address the systemic inequalities. The people...
And also this one.
Personality maxing requires you to look...
No.
The problem is that you can't reason someone out of a position that they didn't reason themselves into.
Exactly. They don't know the reasoning behind their position because they didn't reason themselves into it. It was believed due to the conditions of the transmission scene.
People don't logic their way into stupid positions. They stupid their way into positions.
Exactly, as the Oracle reminds us. They stupided their way in.
You probably want to put your grandma in the basement.
No, stop talking.
So I guess you fucking hate grandma.
Stop arguing about grandma,
Just
all
like
of you.
use your brain for a second.
Brain of a baby.
Use my brain of a baby. All right. So we want to actually do want to trace it back to our problems, functioning, states of mind, problematic beliefs to the root belief, and also the conditions for us believing it. But you don't talk, it's taboo to talk about the initiation scene or the conditions for believing the family beliefs. Because it can't stand up to the light of reason. The same way, if you try and reason with any other belief-based group, religion, conservatism, capitalist, whatever, they get irate that you're even talking about it. Like on the fascist propaganda networks like Fox News, they'll start yelling at you for the audacity to even question. Why? The counterattack for belief against reason, because it can't stand to the, what we just said. We're trying to bring into the light of, oh my God, this is the problem with highlighting everything. We want to bring into the light of, the dialectic draws the hidden levels of belief into the light of reason. And therefore we don't want to talk about it. If you are stuck. But we do want to talk about it, that's the point. It is never challenged because it would be presumptuous. Oh, there you go. How dare you talk about it? It would be presumptuous for the believer to question. Another one. Hooray for me.
We still eat bananas.
No, but happy for me.
You're beautiful and everybody loves you, and you have the most beautiful breasts and the juiciest ass.
Oh my goodness.
I want to see the gorilla packing.
Okay, I wanted to support, but not that kind of support. Crazies.
Shut up for a second, please.
Okay. It would be presumptuous for the believer to question it. How dare you? Hence, it has become accepted as something intrinsic about the nature. Because it's presumptuous to question, and it becomes accepted as something intrinsic about the nature of one's identity and one's reality. Consequently, the family continues the existence of a network of ideas derived from its culture, and, by imposing them upon its members, perpetuates a pathologos as a system of reasoning. The family continues the network of ideas. That network of ideas are derived from culture and imposed on the family members. Perpetuates the pathologos as a system of reasoning. So we're looking for the, just as in this activity, we're looking for the parts, the elements, the specific beliefs that come together in a kind of sick harmony or way of reasoning about self and reality. So too, in understanding the text, we're looking for the same things. We're looking for the elements of reasoning the author is using to be able to communicate so brilliantly and profoundly. In fact, every paragraph we could look to that. Pull out those elements and rephrase them yourself using the dialectic. Let's go back to the first paragraph. We can see from these talks why philosophical midwifery claims that our intellectual life functions through a network of independent thoughts, ideas and thoughts. So we already see the word functioning. So we can see there's a dialectic behind the thinking of the author. That's understanding. So you pull that out and make your own dialectic. When its harmony is disrupted, these ideas include inconsistent and contrary elements. So we can see what happens if the pathologos isn't functioning properly. So that can be one of the categories in the dialectic, because it's not just definition, demonstration, division, and conclusion. If it is, but if it isn't. So there are 8 formal categories. And the confusion and suffering in one's life is a natural consequence. So there's the consequence or conclusion. These distorted ideas, the content of the pathologos, superimpose personal interpretations and meanings, some more functioning to go into your demonstration step, forming the supporting themes. So in other words, each of these paragraphs and the chapter itself, the idea is to pull all those necessary elements together in your own understanding, the dialectic. Dialectic. The activity of understanding. The opposite of belief. Everything we are seeing here about belief as the cause of our problems and suffering, its opposite is the dialectic. And the power of not the pathologos, but the power of the logos. See how cool it is that there's a symmetry behind problems and excellence? So we see that there is a what if, it's a hypothetical, what if X is, and what if the idea for us, the pathologos, isn't, or not exist. Definition. Hey, what is the pathologos itself in relation to itself? Self in relation to self? Self to itself? How does it function? And of course, you're pulling from the text. Pulling the answers from the text that we're reading. Demonstration. How does it function? That defines self. How does it then function? Self to another. How does it function in your thinking? The network of ideas. How does it function within the family clan unit? Bring a unity, bring a way of being, bring an identity, bring a presupposed or an accepted without question view of self and reality that you function through. Division. That's the thing. You pick the other. How does it function to the family? How does it function to your thinking? You could do several dialectics, depending on what you pick for the other. Division. There's no shortage of fun you can have. How does that functioning relate to other others? So this could be the elements, pathologos beliefs, to the regular family beliefs, to the societal beliefs, to the religious beliefs, to the political beliefs, to genocide. So even the worst activity that we are suffering as a human race can be traced back through these divisions. Or identity, group. It functions to bind the family together as a group. So it can be the divisions, or the steps of reasoning, or it's functioning to other things, playing out in the other realms. So there's different ways that you can do division as well. The steps of reasoning, or the functioning of those others to other others. Those others functioning to other others. And as a result of that, conclusion, which has two phases: synthesis from those divisions. Can you pull together a key idea or supporting theme, as we just read in the book, looking for the themes, or logos that we then analysis, that we can then relate to the original definition or self. Let's give them different colors. Let's make this color. What color? Let's make it orange. Let's make this a different color as well. What color? Other orange. No. Too close. So, what's it called when you take something back with you, understanding, some new understanding back to the original self? Why, that, my friend, is ousia. So there we have our two primary human functions that distinguish us from as our stage of evolution. So our highest functioning that we are supposed to be making use of, logos and ousia. Do caterpillars and cabbages and cows have language? Nope. Well, they're starting to. Some have buttons and things. And do they engage that in self-reflection? Nope. But they are starting to. So it's these things that distinguish us from caterpillars, cabbages, and cows. And we see it inherent in the Pathologos. So in other words, that synthesis gives us the other. That we then relate back to the self, or back to that original self. Conclusion. Other, back to self. So you can do this for if the Pathologos exist or whatever we're looking at, and then if it doesn't exist, you can do the same thing. So there's our root structure of thinking that we can apply to every paragraph, every idea, every chapter that we read, to nail it down in our own understanding. But also, because it's the activity of understanding and the power of the logos, we can look for the art of philosophical midwifery as using this in some way. We've already said today that it's like we are starting from our ostensible problems. What do you think is your problem? Your conclusion. How do you relate to your goals? Your other back to self. How does your problems, how does your activities conclude? It's a problem? let's go through philosophical midwifery to bring to light to the divisions or stages you go through in your functioning to reach that problem. So we're going backwards, aren't we? Looking specifically for those two things. A, seeing what's there, but not applying it. That doesn't apply to me. Seeing the meaning there, but not applying it to yourself because it contradicts with your false idea of self. Or B, projecting your own pathologos beliefs and thinking that relates to yourself. Okay? That happens from a certain state of mind, your state of being, or, if you like, certain beliefs that you have. Could go either way. Again, you can do many dialectics. It's up to you. There's no limit of fun. Certain list of false beliefs that are behind your functioning. And behind that, we want to bring it to we want to discover ultimately the pathologos belief behind your state of mind or behind that collection of false beliefs that you didn't know that you were carrying. A false belief about self and reality, which makes sense of your beliefs and your states of mind, which makes sense of why in your division you saw in the A step to see what's there but don't think it applies to you because it doesn't apply to yourself. Your idea of self is different from what you're discovering. Someone says, I think you're a great person, and you don't think you are. You think, well, that person was lying. You might even get mad at them. How dare you patronize me? What do you think, I'm a clown? Like a funny clown? From that movie with the mafia. Or your projection onto reality in number B. You project onto reality your false beliefs about reality. Or yourself. Causing your problems, but as we read in the beginning of chapter 2, all of those problems are nothing other than messages from a caring and intelligible universe to give us what we need to go through this very process we are doing here. To go through the process of philosophical midwifery and learn it as an art, which is nothing other than turning the activity of understanding, the power of the logos, into an art. And if the logos is another name for the intelligibility of self and reality, then we are learning about the nature of our self and reality that is spawned, is created, is caused by self, and learning how to master its functioning. So we're not just knowing the self, we are returning to know the self, which is only possible through understanding, because it's not an experience. You have to understand what's there to be seen. Reality is an experience, it's the peak experience. So therefore, we are not just knowing self and reality necessarily through understanding, but we're learning the art, learning how to function, definition and demonstration, to know and show the self. Once again, demonstrating that this is our purpose as intelligent human beings, or human beings full stop, but because we've reached a stage of intelligence where we have the capacity for logos and ousia. Meaning we have the capacity for a distortion of this in the pathologos, making humans the most horrific, disgusting, savage, unjust species on our planet, which is exactly the inverse of us being the most caring, the most intelligible species on our planet. We can do this and be the best species on our planet and be caregivers of our planet and all animals and life on it, and then move to the next stage of evolution where we recognize there might be a higher purpose for humanity, having solved our pathologos within a greater cosmos. But the capacity for the excellence gives us a capacity for this, the pathologos, the most horrific. No animals treat each other like this. No animals will rush to its extinction. No animals will elect the stupidest, most sadistic people as rulers of politics, religion, capitalism, and the justice system. No other humans would tolerate the shit that we tolerate, and we allow people to enjoy sadistically. In other words, we become the worst members of the galaxy, of the universe, but also potentially the best. so long as we learn this. Making it once again the meaning of life, or a necessary element to the meaning of everyone's lives. So this is something that you can use as a structure to bring what we are reading together into understanding for yourself. Pretty neat. Yes.
Everybody should love sluts. I love sluts.
Also important to realize about...
Yeah.
Yeah, and Emma agrees. Also important to realize.
So, how did you become such a brain genius?
How did I become such a brain Jesus? Brain Jesus? Well, I don't know. Reading this book several times, I suppose.
Now we're getting into extreme Jordan Peterson levels of whimsy.
I am being rather whimsical by talking back to my soundboard. There you go. Speaking of the Oracle, let me just check something. Oh. Okay. It's the time. All right, let's finish this section. Our first episode is going to be a little bit shorter, but we'll keep reading for a while. So the family continues the existence of a network of ideas derived from its culture and, by imposing them upon its members, perpetuates a pathologos as a system of reasoning. It is fundamentally destructive. There is no good pathologos. There is no good belief. Since it undermines our capacity to plan, care for, and reflect on our lives. I was talking about being a caregiver to the planet as well, weren't we, a second ago? Undermines our capacity to plan, care, and reflect on. There's our ousia. So there's planning, logos, care, our artful, empathetic, masterful functioning, beneficial functioning, and reflect on. There's our ousia. So again, I'm using that structure of the dialectic to see how is it that someone can speak so masterfully about the nature of humanity. He says, yeah, well, it's bad. Well, how can you say that this is bad? Everyone, if you ask any person, they'll think that their personal pathologos is the best and is real. That's the whole point. You think it's true. What is the structure behind the thinking of the author such that he can communicate in this kind of a way? Well, what are we supposed to be doing? Caring. Acting beneficially, providentially, as the universe. Be like the universe. Be like the self. So it undermines our capacity to care. But how do we care? Well, logos and ousia. How does that specifically apply to this situation? Well, it undermines our capacity to plan, logos, and reflect, ousia. Which were necessary to reach our goals. This whole thing is a state of unfolding of the logos that we then apply back. Logos and ousia. Doing that ourselves in order to develop an art that we can use to care for people or benefit them. So it's all inherent to the dialect in the logos and ousia. Thus, it can be justly regarded as a psychic parasite. There we go. Robbing its host of a psychologically and often physically healthy life. So there is another stage of recognizing the pathologos' impact on your physical health too. That would be a huge sea change in our society, to recognize that at the root cause of our physical illnesses might also be the pathologos. Consider, when understanding is believed to be a gift bestowed only to the worthy, then an experience of it would create a conflict in those persons who believe they are not worthy of it. The primary expression of subjects A's pathologos. That girl studying but not thinking she's worthy of it. Her sense of certainty accompanying the Pathologos is intensified by the belief that her own sense of unworthiness makes her unfit to receive this gift. There is a certainty behind our beliefs. Her own sense of unworthiness. So she is unfit for the understanding, and her sense of being unfit makes her unfit. Well, yeah, makes her sense of unworthiness makes her unfit, thus excluding her from the possibility of such grace. So understanding is something bestowed upon you, those who are deserving. The primary expression of subject B's pathologos is a world-denying thesis, frequently found among those who have to deny what is good and beautiful because they fear the wrath and hostility of their jealous God, who cannot tolerate any believers loving anything other than himself. Sound familiar? Sound like every fucking religion ever? You have to deny what is good and beautiful, which is actually exactly what we are seeking in philosophy, our true purpose, because they fear the wrath and hostility of a jealous God, right? The Abrahamic religions especially, who the jealous God cannot tolerate believers loving anything other than himself. So the true philodianoia, our true functioning, love and understanding, is in sharp contrast to we can see how, if that's our purpose, we can see why the Pathologos and the associated groups based on Pathologos, like religion, fundamentally are destructive and anti-life or world-denying. Interesting?
You have the most beautiful breasts
Oh,
and
my
the
goodness.
juiciest ass.
That's not what I meant, but thank you.
Do a poggers.
We shall do a poggers.
So, how did you become such a brain genius?
Well, because we're reading this book, we're all becoming brain geniuses. When families adhering to such religious beliefs, as with both subjects A and B, chapter 5, live out and play out these roles within the family, the parents often become like their God. Isn't it interesting? We were talking about us becoming like the universe that is caring and intelligible, and then we just read this. The Pathologos is fundamentally destructive because it blocks your ability to be caring and intelligible, logos and ousia, planning and reflecting. So we are seeking to become like the universe and the self, analogous to the Pathologos, where they seek to become like their own sick belief about God. So the parents often become like their God, hostile to all those who compete for their children's affection and love, demanding their children relate exclusively to them. Ever tried to talk to do philosophy to some people and help them learn how to love understanding or think for themselves? In my experience, their parents become fucking assholes, terrible sadistic monsters. How dare you teach my child that they are worthy? They should only love me. That's why I became a parent. Hostile to those who compete for their children's affection. All the right-wing fascist stuff. You can't love my girlfriend, my daughter. I'm gonna shoot you because I'm a big tough guy. In American movies. Causing them to sacrifice their own goals for their parents and to perform or work only for parental goals. You get yourself a slave for the family. You get all the affection, you get all the attention, you can act like a god. By the way, same thing with the religion, as we saw in that little meme. You can act like you know everything better, you can get everyone's attention on you, and you can get everyone to dance to your little tune. Same thing in the house. Work only for the parental goals. In such cases, they undermine and depreciate the child's attraction and interest in achieving the ideal. The ideal we want. Playing out the god or priest or minister on the family has its consequences on the formation of problems, and many can be traced in part to these incursions. It is not unusual to discover that some religious families act out the Garden of Eden tale in their own homes, punishing their young children and exiling them when they give evidence of having enjoyed their own openness and innocence. The Garden of Eden story, don't eat from the tree of knowledge. you shall surely die, which was a lie. That God, which was of many gods. So if you read the Garden of Eden, you see that Christianity is polytheistic. So that particular God said you can't, that they think is their God, can't eat from the tree of knowledge, which is a lie. And then he got jealous and said, you can't eat from the other tree of life to become like me. So an angry and jealous God. Reacting to the openness and innocence of Adam and Eve, wanting to explore, create, know, and become like the divine. So evidence of having enjoyed your own openness and innocence, that's a big problem. Because as children, we don't recognize. We think, well, hang on a second, this is a really great state. I'm genuine, I'm authentic, I'm open, I'm innocent, I'm wanting to understand and grow. I expect those that are better than me, my parents, to relate to my state of mind with the same level of integrity that I am relating to it. And they fucking don't. They go the opposite way. They punish their young children, and they even exile them by being in that good, authentic state necessary for our growth and development. Beliefs don't develop, they stay the same. The contribution and meaning of theology and religion are best expressed according to philosophical midwifery. We're understanding the root cause of theology and religion in other areas of life, rather than allowing them to be played out on unsuspecting members of one's family. We'll finish this chapter. The process of separating from false belief, the pathologos, brings a predictable crisis. It is not unusual for some subjects to withdraw from philosophical midwifery, either completely or for various periods of time, when they realize that to continue means risking the loss of those intense high states of mind experienced in their problem. Okay, this is something that I've been puzzled about my whole life. That when people get into it and then they start to realize where it goes and then they leave, or they give up, or they don't do dreams. I was the exact opposite. I don't know, I didn't really understand why, but I did everything in my power to go towards philosophical midwifery, dream analysis, and PMW, despite the difficulties that I had being in a different country, being in a family that fought hard against that, as all families do, and not having the wealth to afford to pay for visas and plane trips and accommodation and things. So I always had a dream in my pocket and was always asking the midwife if he could talk. So I was very puzzled by those who lived around the guy and didn't do the same thing. If I could, I'd be at his door every morning. Yeah. He's the only one who really was able to hear. The only one I've ever seen who could think properly and understand. The only one I ever met who could listen. Listen properly. And the questions that he asked had such perfect precision, in a way that would not just necessitate the most appropriate answer, but put me in a state of mind. It's like, yeah, that's it. Didn't have to think. Yeah, that's the right question, and this is the answer. It's like I'm not even answering. It's like, oh yeah, given a question that appropriate, this is the answer. And for me, there was no reason to hide. I mean, there was reason, because there are a lot of people that got very... Participating in the logos triggers the pathologos. Participating in your logos may trigger the pathologos of those around you who are not yet at that level. In other words, their problems manifest and they start fucking yelling and acting like savages and barking like dogs. It's crazy. Literally barking like dogs. Like, not just yelling and abusing and trying to stop the conversation you're having, but fighting amongst themselves to distract. Or getting so irate in the good conversation being had between a midwife and someone open in this state, that they lose all intelligibility and start just making barking noises. It's very strange. considering you're doing the best thing possible, and this is the savage reaction. So that was very confusing to me, but it's part of being human, I suppose. And this speaks to it as well. They dipped out or withdraw for periods of time and don't do midwifery for periods of time and don't do dream analysis for periods of time. There's no period of time where I dipped out. It didn't make sense to do that. But yeah, I guess that speaks to work that I did in a previous life, perhaps. So, one of the things that you fear losing is the intense state of mind that you experience in the drama of your problem that you're used to playing out, which has provided them with a role and a way of being that they believed to be essential. So there's the role that you function through, and a state of mind and functioning, way of being, and you even think that it's essential. You need it. They come to recognize that the game has provided them with a model and various roles through which their world became familiar and predictable. There it is, the control. And without which they would have to face a strange, new and open world. What we saw in our last text, cognophobia. The cause of the human crisis is to defend this pathologos and associated role, way of being and beliefs, and family, clan, tribe, belief, tribe membership, because of the fear of being open and developing and thinking in a new way, and therefore opening yourself up to the higher cognitive functions, specifically of understanding, knowing, wisdom, and beyond. Cognophobia, what was talked about in the Isidore Relative book as the cause of the human crisis. Which is interesting, because our crisis isn't that we get beliefs. That seems to be essential to why we're here as human beings. It's that we hold on to them and fear our higher development. Cognophobia, fear of higher cognitive functions. So, worth reading that book or going through that series. I think there was only 60 episodes, so you can binge them. I don't know. That's maybe not right.
Well, you're a woman, like sweet tits. Hello.
All right, don't call me sweet
I'm
tits.
so unsettled. I am so unsettled.
You'll unsettle Emma if you do. Among the many roles, the Noah role offers the opportunity to appear. So here it is. This is the big one as well. The Noah role offers the opportunity to appear powerful and important, right? Those MAGAs can say, I'm so knowing that I would even kill the Democrats, despite being ignorant myself. And with from that example of that guy with the comedian and the t-shirt. And with an intensity not often found outside the pathologos influenced activities. So not only can they play the Noah role, but play it with such intensity. As that meme. No politic here. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. When subjects recognize that it is the high state of mind that supports and maintains the pathologos, there is often deep disillusionment that takes place. Surely everyone desires to rid themselves of the down or negative side of the pathologos, but when they discover the high goes with the low, forming an inseparable relationship, they experience shock. Okay? Important to recognize as those who are developing the art that they will experience a shock that, for example, as one person that I was talking to once, comeback kid. They have to have the low to be able to have the comeback and then be cheered on for being the comeback kid. The high state of being celebrated in this unique way that they don't get anywhere else comes with the negatives, the near-death experiences or the near-firing experience and so on. Faced with the decision that they must challenge and purge themselves of the high intense state, some subjects would rather discontinue the talk or adjust their lives to avoid losing the high state. They would rather be a king among lesser men and keep the appearance of power than give up that appearance as the price for being equal among equals. All right, so this is also referring back to Socrates saying in the Republic and other places, I would rather be a slave to a landless lord in the real world of being then king of all the dead that lay in the world of beliefs and physical appearances. Not exactly the same. To giving up your way of being. All I got to do is have power over others, join ICE, become a cop, become a parent, whatever, become a pastor or a minister, and I can play this intense high Noah state while being stupid and sick and ignorant myself, not having to learn or purge myself of the beliefs. I'll rather be a king among these ignorant people who I am abusing, having the appearance or imitation through belief, than give that up to treat people like equals, which is what we do here. I try my best to use familiar language and translate this as we go along to make it open to everyone, because it's everyone's job. It's everyone's game. It's the new way of being for humanity. So we're all equals. We're all here on the same task, with the same task and the same journey. To know and show self and mind, or reality. Lacking the courage to pursue their primary goals, they scale down their dreams and seek the shadow of success in secondary goals and in practical pursuits, like those Goethe's Faust. Okay, how do I pronounce this guy? Not really necessary, but I kind of want to know how to pronounce it properly. Goethe.
Goethe. Goethe.
Goethe.
Goethe.
Goethe.
Goethe.
Goethe's Faust found so central and absorbing. The shadow of secondary goals. Hence, it is not unusual for some to be unwilling to pay the price for their own maturity. Interesting. Pay the price. And it's a sacrifice. It's a sacrifice of lesser addictive high states and roles that are sick, wrong, and unjust, but familiar and attainable if you sacrifice your own maturity and higher goals. Some experience this conflict when they recognize that their pathologos cannot be reconciled with an image of their parents or those who played a significant role in their lives. Therefore, as they seek to do this injustice bullshit pathologos fucking crap to other people, so too their parents did it to them. If they see that, which is necessary to see how the parents were actually functioning in this specific scenes and the associated family clan way of being, not ever reflecting on it, not ever doing logos, and whenever they were doing logos, ousia or care, shutting them down, killing them or exiling them or punishing them, their parents were not functioning as parents. Tyrants, fascists, some other word. They weren't beautiful, they weren't good, they weren't loving. That's the truth of how they were functioning in those particular scenes. But some people may not have the maturity and integrity to see their parents as they are, necessary for challenging the fake teaching and challenging that rulership by that voice of tyranny that has controlled their lives, and that they seek to imitate themselves, passing on the cycle of injustice, sadism, violence, and if they gain power, death and destruction. So some experience conflict when they recognize that their pathologos cannot be reconciled with an image of their parents or those who played a significant role in their lives, and consequently they cling to the illusion, their beloved images. However, those who have gained from philosophical midwifery are not angered by the disclosure of their parents. They gain a new view that develops naturally and are without recriminations. Now you might be saying, what the hell does recriminations mean? And I would say, come on.
Since I was a teenager.
This is where I'm sorry. This group of absolute gooners, maybe with Joe Rogan, and he's always like, oh man, AI is going to become Jesus
What the
H.
hell?
Christ. AI is going to become Jesus and Allah and a Vishnu and all this crap all rolled into one man. Right? Right, JD Vance? And then JD Vance go like this.
Well,
Oh, okay, that's not a sound drop. That sounds like 3 different sound drops that didn't get exported properly. Fuck. No, exactly. Recriminations.
Recriminations.
An angry statement where someone responds with an accusation, accusing the other person in return. Counter accusation. Bickering, retaliation. All right. So again, as I mentioned, as I have helped people in the past, there is often that counter attack by themselves or their friends and family members as they, to defend themselves from their own accusations or the accusations of truth, they attack me or midwifery or understanding itself. Okay, important to be aware of because we want to help people, but we also want to be safe. So there are some people who are not angered by the disclosure of their pathologos. They gain a new view that naturally develops. That's what we're after. Develops naturally. We are back in the genuine state of being, evolving, learning, growing process that we are intended to be. And they are without recriminations. They don't want to bark back towards those authorities. Oh, not just towards... Okay, I was talking about the recriminations towards midwifery, but without recriminations towards those authorities who provided them with lessons of their youth. So we want to understand them and what they are doing and tell the truth about what they're doing without recriminations towards those authorities. I guess supposedly understanding that they themselves are slaves to the similar pathologos. In other words, they function just as they would function, given the ignorance and the motivating force in their life. The what was the word here? The root motivating belief of their pathologos. Oh yes, the imperative or commandment. So hey, this is what you were doing. This is what it caused. This is what it is. Do something about it. Or here's some questions to get you to reflect on it. You're doing exactly what you would have done, given this sick belief you have failed to reflect on. You have showed no care for yourself, logos, or usia, reasoning and planning and self-reflection. You've been blocked from those activities. Why not learn this new way of being? Having been freed from the distorting power of their pathologos and no longer influenced by their old models, they experience a profound unknowing as they relate to themselves and the world. So when you're free of the distorting power of the pathologos and no longer influenced by their old models, a profound unknowing. So, in other words, the false certainty of pathologos belief you took as knowing is gone. So there's that openness. What do we see here? New and open state of mind that we call maturity. The ideal state of mind for reading philosophy. There's the end of chapter 6. We did it all in one episode. And speaking of the ideal state of mind for philosophy, I have just recently discovered that there is a sequel to the Is It All Relative book that hasn't been published, but I have a copy of as a dialogue. I think it's a sequel because it's Joseph in a coffee shop, only he's talking with a new character. So I'm thinking maybe we should do one episode of Midwifery and one episode of reading in the series and see how that works out. Yeah, maybe that's how we'll go forward. Hope you're having fun. I hope you're finding this meaningful. And I hope you are recognizing the recriminations or counterattacks against yourself and this activity that might surface because of how meaningful this is and how well you are doing. Don't listen to it, but write it down. Because our purpose is to have enough material that we can see those themes, trace it back to the beliefs, and then to the root belief to become free. Interesting too, at the end of this journey isn't a divine luminosity state more than a openness to that divine luminosity that we would gain through philosophy, but instead a clear state or a profound unknowingness, which is a curious thing to read. Profound unknowingness. Necessary condition to the Zen koan. The Zen student says, teach me about enlightenment, and then the guru starts pouring into his cup and it becomes overfilling, and he says, the tea is overfilling, master. That's your mind. For me to fill you up, you have to empty your cup first. So this profound unknowing may be an ideal state for developing true understanding, leading to true knowing, and then from that, whatever we call the state of self beyond knowing. Things to wonder about. Thank you for joining me. And if you want to donate to the channel, there's a link below. I don't have a PDF to this text. If somebody comes across a PDF to this text, you can send me a link, please, or message on Discord, and I'll add it below. You can see I scanned this myself at the library. Yeah, join the Discord if you like. And I'll see you on the next one. You can buy the book. I suggest you do.